Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is a nostalgic game for many Sonic fans. It is the first video game many of them have ever played. It is generally seen as a superior game to Sonic 1. Unlike its predecessor, Sonic 2 was made in the US as opposed to Japan. Does Sonic 2 hold up against all the future Sonic games? Well, Sonic 2 improves upon the already successful formula of Sonic 1 in several ways. Firstly, it adds the spin dash, which is activated by holding down, revving it up with any of the 3 buttons of the Sega Genesis controller, or whatever is set as jump on your controller, then releasing down to unleash a burst of speed. The general rule of if Sonic is in a ball, then he damages the enemy is kept when he's using the spin dash. The only problem is damaging the enemies only sometimes works when using the spin dash. I'm pretty sure there's something I'm missing here, so I usually just jump if I see an enemy coming. A minor problem with the spin dash for me is that I tend to abuse it. I end up falling off a cliff sometimes because I didn't know there was a cliff up ahead. I can't blame anyone but myself for this problem because I can't expect the game designers to edit the level layout to assume that the player is always going to use a spin dash. The next upgrade from Sonic 1 is the inclusion of Miles Prower, or more commonly known by his nickname as Tails the Fox. He doesn't do much when moving at high speeds, but he makes bosses easier, sometimes. You can even plug in a second controller to have a friend or sibling play as Tails. Whoever plays as Tails doesn't get to control the camera, so that's why fast-paced zones, such as the Emerald Hill Zone, aren't fun for the second player. Speaking of the zones, that's another improvement from Sonic 1. The zones are better designed than Sonic 1. Some people didn't like Marble Zone in Sonic 1, and a lot of people didn't like Labyrinth Zone from Sonic 1. No zone in this game moves that slowly now. If a zone seems to be dragging on, at the very least, it is because you are struggling with the obstacles and not waiting for Sonic to finish his jump or waiting for a block to move. There are some deaths which I consider cheap though. For example, in the Wing Fortress zone, when this thing is propelling you, your instinct would be to hold right so you get more distance. But what you have to do is not touch any buttons at all. Thankfully, these cheap deaths are few and far between. It's strange that I don't feel much for this game considering how good it is. Perhaps it's because it wasn't the first Sonic game I encountered. That game was Shadow the Hedgehog. I suppose watching a Let's Play of Shadow the Hedgehog wasn't a good impression of the Sonic series. Meanwhile, my second Let's Play viewed of the Sonic series was Sonic 06. Not going to talk about that. The third Sonic game I ever watched a YouTube video on was Sonic Unleashed. That's more like it. After that, I started to get more into the Sonic series. Thankfully, I've only ever played the 2D Genesis Sonic games, minus Knuckles Chaotix if you consider that a Genesis game, plus Sonic Generations. Compared to the other 2D games, Sonic 2 isn't bad, but I feel it is only second best to Sonic 3, which makes me like this game less. Sonic 2 is incredibly similar to Sonic 1, but with better level design, tails, and a spin dash. For some reason, when I think about a classic Sonic game to play, I always want to play Sonic 1 instead of Sonic 2 or 3. Maybe I find more charm in Sonic 1, despite Sonic 2 clearly being a better game. Because of this, I won't give Sonic 2 a score, as I can't fairly grade it.